All right, I'd like to open public hearing on case 18013 SE, application from SB Towers for a special exception from Article 2, Section E of the zoning ordinance to permit construction of a 199-foot self-supporting tower for wireless telecommunications, where the maximum building height shall be 34 feet measured from grade. Property is located at 175 Old Turnpike Road in Nottingham, New Hampshire, tax map 3, lot 6, sublot 1.
I guess it's me.
It is.
Good evening. My name is Timothy Green. I'm here on behalf of SBA Towers. SBA Towers is like a big elephant in the room from the last time we was in front of the planning board. SBA Towers has an existing cell site at 165 Turnpike Street. There have been, the reality is there's been some issues with the ground, the land. It went into bankruptcy, it's out. There's no long-term lease left on it. By default, SBA needs to protect their interests and make sure that if anything were to happen and a long-term lease is not put together, that they have a location, an alternate location. SBA is looking for a special permit to put a tower at 175 Turnpike Street. If that tower were to be built, the tower at 165 Turnpike Street would go down. There's no scenario where there would be two towers up. It's part of the condition. Just so we're clear, there's no, like, oh, let's have two. No. One down, one up. But this stuff doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
So that is the reason why SBA is here. SBA has an existing facility. It is approximately, I did the 185 or 190 feet high. And on it are four major carriers: Verizon Wireless, AT&T Wireless, Sprint PCS, and T-Mobile. Were that tower not to continue to be at 175, those carriers would hypothetically move over to 165 Turnpike Street. The reason that we're here tonight is, as you had said, that there is we had a denial from the building inspector, technically, because the height limit for a tower is 34, height limit for anything in that district is 34 feet. Per your board, you can approve a higher height. Hence, I can go through, I'd like to, maybe if you have any questions, you can ask me, we can go through, but that's pretty much this is a backup plan.
Yep.
This isn't a primary, it's a backup, it's something that needs to be done so that the carriers that have coverage and provide coverage for everybody will be able to continue to have coverage.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Green, could you?
Yes.
Could you just tell me what your relationship to SBA Towers is? If you said it, I missed it. Are you an owner of SBA Towers?
Oh, no, I am not an owner of SBA
You're
Towers.
an employee or a consultant?
No, I represent them, that's all.
Okay.
They had hired me to do the zoning for this installation.
Okay.
So, no, I'm not an owner. SBA is they're a traded company I think they're on the NASDAQ, not on the New York Stock Exchange. SBA operates thousands of towers nationwide.
Right, I noticed they had an address in Florida, maybe.
Yes, Boca
Or there's
Raton.
also one in Massachusetts.
Yes. The Massachusetts is probably mine.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's Terra.
Terra Search, yes, that's the name of our firm.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
As far as the existing tower goes, or we're just, like, there's already a tower out there. The towers there will be no increased traffic. There's no noise. There's no sewage. There's no impact to the schools. Basically, it's a passive use. It sits there. It won't be lit. The height of the new tower is within 10 feet of the other tower. It just has to do with elevation. The ground elevation does go up about 17 feet. That's, honestly, that's de minimis in a tower. It'd be one thing if one was at, 300 feet higher, but 17, that's just based on that's just a general topography. The location of this tower was picked because it is extremely close to where the old tower is. And that would help the other, if the carriers needed to move, they would not lose coverage.
Right.
You couldn't just take this tower, go down and have them move 4 miles away.
So it fits in with the existing network?
Exactly,
of towers?
yes, they have existing coverage, the coverage would be replicated, and that's the reason for the location. The tower itself would be able to handle 4 or 5 carriers, in case anybody else wanted to go on. It would be the same type of tower, lattice tower, which is actually the most, it's probably the most preferable tower to have because it can be upgraded as things change over time. The problem is you get the monopoles are nice, but all the cables run up inside, they get full. There's no way to really upgrade them over time. Whereas a lattice tower, you can change out the diagonals to, they could be 3/8 diagonals, you change them to 1/2 inch. To the naked eye, you'd never know that happened, but to a tower, it's perfect. Provides as 100 by 100 area down on the ground for the shelters, plenty of room. And the height is necessary to continue with the existing coverage.
So there are now currently 4 carriers using
Yes,
the
4
existing
major-
tower, and this would have the capability of having 5.
At least 5, yes,
So it could have one more.
at least 5. Yeah, it's being provided, right now it's a straight up replacement, hypothetically. So it's designed, if you look at the drawings, you'll see 4, but there's no reason why another one could not go in there. The problem is you start moving down in height, you don't get the coverage, but as you probably can guess, bad coverage is better than no coverage in the world today. It would have 199 feet overall height, so it would not have to be painted or lit, would not need FAA lighting. So it would be the same as it's out there right now. There's an existing access road on the property now. It's paved, and then it would just head off to the right, and there's a location where there would be a small place for land would clear, and there'd be a gravel turnaround and a parking space for maintenance vehicles. Once it's built, it's generally 4-wheel drive vehicles. Even cars could just go up. You go in the shelter, do your work, maybe once a month. A lot of times you'll have a lot of carriers upgrade, and there would be, maybe an engineer would go out, take some measurements, he leaves. And even then, when you climb a tower, you don't need massive equipment. Certainly concrete trucks and the like would need to be in there when they build it, but once they build it, it's no different than building a house. There's a lot of activity, and then once it's built, it's really not like that anymore. Again, for SBA, moving the tower is a backup plan. So we're clear. However, the way that the industry works, anything under 5 years on a lease needs to be looked at.
Okay.
These things just don't happen overnight. It's not as if,
Yeah, because you had mentioned long-term lease, and what's long?
well, long, you would sign a lease for 25, 30 years at a minimum.
Okay.
But once it gets under 5, if there's not you're not getting a feel that there's any type of movement, you've got to have a backup. There's no scenario where you can have a tower just go down, and coverage just doesn't exist anymore. And the public doesn't allow it. It's not like the carriers. It's not something that happens. So anything under 5, You know, it's, if you're doing an agreement with a landlord and there's under 5 years, say, hey, we need to, either A, we just need to take care of that, or, hey, while we're doing this, we need to add at a minimum 10 years to the agreement. So,
Okay.
because they take a while. I mean, I'm here right now, I still have to go through you, the planning board, a building, build it, everyone needs to come down over, you're talking, even at a breakneck speed, 7 months.
Right.
It just doesn't. So, anyway, SBA has nationwide, like I said, nationwide network. They need to maintain service to their clients. And it's also better maintaining wireless coverage to the residents.
Mr. Chairman.
So do you plan on, you have 5 years left on your lease. There's 5 years left.
I don't know how many years are left. I think there's a lot less than that.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I am not, one thing that, maybe I'm hamstrung, but I'm not privy to what the underlying issues are. I just was, I know that there was a bankruptcy out at the site. They went in, the tax taking, it was taken back. There's an easement to the cell tower. There's some issues there.
Right.
Whether they all get worked out, I don't know.
But this is something you plan on building, you're not gonna wait. I mean, this is,
Well, if everything worked out at 165, this will not get built.
Okay, 'cause
It needs to be a backup plan. This is a backup plan.
Right.
Is the best way of putting it. I don't want to make it seem like I'm wasting anyone's time, but it has to be in there. There has to be something there.
I get it.
But no one wants to go and rebuild, recreate the
So
wheel.
if you got a 30-year lease on 165, you'd never build this?
No,
Right, okay.
I guess I'm confident in saying that.
I'm just saying that I think our special, our exception only goes for a couple of years, doesn't it?
Right, usually.
Yeah, so that's.
Well,
the
2
thing.
years. I think it's 2 years. So I think
Right.
that we'll probably have a 2-year process, and if not, I'll come back with a little more gray hair, and I'll have to come back and do it again.
Again,
Right, but you would have, once
The
you
clock
grant-
would,
Right.
SBA totally understands that were this to be approved, the clock's ticking.
Right.
A decision
I just-
would need to be made. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure you knew that.
Yes. No, I know it
wasn't
doesn't go
unlimited.
forever. It's no different if we got our approval and file for the building permit, then the clock's ticking on that too, because
Yeah.
that's probably the 6 months or a year.
Yep.
and so, just to be clear,
Sure.
it is possible that you'll renegotiate with the current owner? The current
Those,
tower?
I think those negotiations are ongoing. I think I don't have the particulars of it. To be honest, I don't even know who the
The town of
owner
Nottingham.
is.
Town-
I could see it, but I couldn't find it like,
It's the town of Nottingham.
yes, I know. Well, I saw that, but I also saw some other stuff that looked like, in the deed, the town of Rockingham said that the cell tower easement was excluded. Again, I don't need to dig into too much. I said, okay, all I can see is that, you know what, this isn't a clear path. Ergo, there needs to be a backup plan, and it needs to be a good plan also. That's what we're in front of you. There needs to be a plan. There's a tower, it's not gonna be lit, it's set back from the road. Those are the type of things that I'm here to discuss pretty much tonight.
If it
I'm
falls
sure
over-
after this meeting ends, there can be phone calls saying, hey, where is this going, what's going on, stuff like that. For what we need to deal with here,
Right.
it's a little more of like, this is what's in front of you, this is what they're trying to propose, it makes sense. One's down, one goes up.
Yep. So I'm just curious, on the plans, it looks like your current access goes up the Gillespie's driveway and goes to that back lot?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So really, would be
Nothing
not much
different here
change.
either, no.
No, there'd be nothing to change there, no.
Yeah. Okay.
'Cause I was thinking it used to come in through, like Gillespie's old house. I thought that's where it went in.
Yeah, me too.
Originally, I didn't realize it went off his driveway.
Yeah, we're
That's why when I-
approximately,
when they
we're a
sit-
little under 800 feet away from the
Yeah.
existing tower.
Because when they said it was moving it, I couldn't figure out where you were moving it in some ways because I thought the access went in at a different spot.
It does, well, the 165 Turnpike is down the road a little bit, down to the
But
east.
isn't that where the access is now or not? It goes in, it
Well,
goes
it's
in that
down,
driveway?
if you're heading down the highway, you hit 175, and then
Yeah.
if you continue to go east, you hit 165. That's there's a dirt road with a gate.
Okay,
And that's where you get to one tower. 175 is just a paved road where it's always been there. So nothing new needs to be cut in.
okay.
Then you head back. And then kind of hang a right. It's a pretty well hidden site, both of them.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Another question.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Mr. Green, if you were to begin building this second tower,
Yes.
how would we establish that you somehow have to remove the first?
Put it as a condition.
Okay.
Simply, you can make it, you can make it
And
condition
is there an
one.
overlap time needed so that you?
Probably, yes, because you can put up a tower, but then you've got to have
Gotta
four
move all that
tenants
stuff.
move over. there's
So,
no scenario where you would just, one would go down in 24 hours. You'd have, there's a lot of coordination needs to go on. I mean, these are tenants, like just as AT&T. AT&T would have to get word, say, look, that's going down, you need to get over there. They need to order equipment, they need to set up a thing, there needs to be leases done. They may have to come in front of a board, depending on your wireless bylaw. You have an overlay district, although I can't find, there's word of an overlay district, but I couldn't find it on a map anywhere. But, there needs to be permitting done. The equipment may not be sitting in a
process.
warehouse. There's a process, yes.
So I was just trying to get a feel for what kind of a time frame the board should think about.
I think you could probably, I mean, not to speak for you, but the condition that that the other tower would be removed should be sufficient. I think there would be a time if months and months dragged on where the building inspector then would, as the zoning enforcement officer could say, hey, I need some sort of a plan of when this next one's gonna come down. But a lot of that's contingent upon, really, it starts to be contingent upon the
We
carriers.
could, we could put something so many months after the last carrier is off that tower.
Absolutely, yeah, you need the carriers off, or there could be, I don't know if a drop dead date works, but I do know that there is some, as the,
Infinity's a long time, too.
infinity is a long time, and that would definitely defeat the purpose of the opening statement that I had of that there won't be two towers.
Right, and I think, being on the town's land, if they don't lease, we want to make sure the town's not
Right,
having to
and
take it
certainly
down.
this also has to be at some point, at some scenario, were this to, like I said, if this were to all go down, the tower can only be up for as long as the lease is active. If the lease does expire, you can't have a tower there. There is,
Who's responsible for taking it down? Is it the landowner or the tower company?
the tower company, I don't have a copy of the agreement, I'm sure that there's one that was sent over, but usually the tower company is responsible for taking it down. And not the town unless there's a bond. Unless the bond was presented back in the day. I highly doubt that there was a bond that was presented.
Because I think just, we don't have anybody representing the town here. Not that they need to be, but to me, it's like, if the town is going to try to sell the property, I don't really know what the town plans are.
Agreed. I don't think
Then
SBA
if
does
there's
either.
an old tower on it, it's going to hinder the sale on their part. And if there's a working tower on it, it might help them, so would just be,
True.
that
We
would be
do,
my
we do
guess.
have a town rep on the planning board, and he will be going before the planning board tomorrow. I have one of the
That's not helping us
select board
tonight.
members. No, I'm just letting you
So-
know.
To me, I'm totally comfortable just putting after the last tenant has moved to the new
6 months.
tower, give them 6 months to remove the old one.
Or once the new one is up and fully functioning, 6 months.
Once a certificate of occupancy is issued for the new tower, X amount, I guess maybe with a condition that, maybe me, comes before the board and says, hey, look, we need X amount more time because of the following reasons, and stuff like that. But you do have there is an underlying
Or we could
lease.
say not to exceed
1 year.
A certain amount of time,
1
I
year
think.
or something.
Well, couldn't we also do a condition for approval, be that SBA Towers provide for us a plan for removing the old tower?
Well, no, because we don't know if they're keeping it or building this one. Well, I guess the approval they would have to
Why don't
renew.
we-
Say,
Contingent,
it's contingent upon, the approval is contingent upon them providing a plan, acceptable plan for the removal of the old tower before the new one gets started
Okay.
or is begun. Wouldn't you think? I
Who
mean,
enforces that, though?
What if we,
Probably the zoning enforcement officer for the town.
wouldn't Dale be the
Should be
enforcer?
usually the building
The
inspector,
inspector.
is the zoning
Because he
enforcement.
can't, nothing can go, you can't get approval to start until this board is satisfied, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
All right. That works for me.
what if we just said, they don't get approved, the building inspector doesn't give them their final approval until the other one's down?
Well, they can't take the other one down.
Right, no, but
until
I'm
the other one
saying,
is up.
Yeah. That's the issue.
So my thought is if there's this question about when would the other one be taken
Right.
down, just make that as a criteria, or what's the word I want?
Condition.
Condition, thank you.
I would be comfortable with that, but I would think we would need some kind of time limit, after which they could come back and ask us for an extension for reasonable.
Cause,
But I mean, I would
a lot of
think
times,
you
if
could
the
help
lease
us.
is expired, there's a moot point. So, for instance, not to, like, I was in front of the town of Westford, where AT&T is on one water tank, they just built another water tank. And they called us up and said, hey, look, we need to get that water tank down. And so I had to go get special permit approval, planning board approval, to move over. And then, once everybody moves over, then the other one can come down. So the wheels do start moving when it does happen. But a lot of it is, contingent upon something being there that
Right.
you can be on.
Over.
I mean, it's not something that like, look at the winters that we have.
right.
They might get a permit now, and then the winter just
Correct.
drags on
Right.
forever, and they
Yeah.
can't get their equipment in, and they can't start, so it pushes everything back. So, I mean, their original application talks about the intent of removing it. He's talking about removing it. I don't think it's like they're trying to jam us with a tower, so I
No,
don't
but,
know why we're making a big deal over it.
I think also,
We could do the 1 year, that would be,
I think also the special exception itself has a time limit that would keep them within, that's 2 years, I mean, that would be comfortable.
Well, that's to start their new
That's to
one.
start it, isn't it?
That's to start the new one, that's not to take the old one down. Right, that's on the front end, not the back end. I mean, I'm fine with a year, 2
Yeah, a year is
years,
fine,
or to
because-
expire when the current lease expires, anything, just
Yeah.
give them plenty of time. I don't see the rush.
Well, that's why I was saying, ask them what their plan is about it.
And that's fine too, I'm open-ended is fine. That a removal plan is submitted to the town,
Right.
that's fine for me too. Does that satisfy you? Okay. All right,
I just don't want to neglect it, because we already have that other building on that property that's rotting away.
I think also there's
With the tower.
not to, dig my, pile on or put myself in a hole. You also have an underlying ground lease. If the ground lease is in fact, close to expiring, you can't have a tower there. And, there could be a month-to-month tenancy, but that's gonna also pull the plug on any type of dragging out of the process, if you know what I
right,
mean?
I do, yep.
The
No,
lease, you mean the lease requires that it be removed?
Yes, once your lease is over, you're not, unless you could go month to month, but then, that could, usually when you go month to month, that means both landlord and tenant have a say in when the month is, and so now you're really on the clock.
Right. Okay. Any other questions from the board? You guys ready to have a vote? I would like to go through, so for a special exception, there's 3 criteria. And I'd like to go through each criteria one by one. And then he's looking for relief from 2 pieces. The one piece is the permitted use, and the second piece is the height. So you want to go through each one for both, or do you want to go through 3 criteria for one and 3 criteria for the other?
For both. I'm good with both.
Okay. Okay, whether the goals set forth in RSA 674-17 will be infringed by granting such a special exception? What is the goal of 674-17? Can somebody look that up in their book? I don't remember that one off the top of my head. 17. Oh, okay. Not do Okay, so that's for both criteria. Criteria 2, what and not for such a so on the of use, I say it's not an issue.
Have that happen to us all. Are they
Oh, they
done?
leave. Alright, so that's for conditions. And then criteria 3, whether the granting of such special exception would adversely impact use. I say it's similar to what's already existing. I don't think change.
Right, and he clearly stated waste, noise, traffic.
Further in, or closer to the highway, which is what we would prefer. But just so you know, we don't have a full board. It's your option to pull out now before included this session, but I doubt you would want to.
What do I need for, I need 5 yeses.
You need 3 yeses, you got 4.
If we didn't have a problem, we wouldn't.
Right, okay, I thought, that's what I thought.
I went to a full board.
Considering I've got 4 yeses,
I just have to
big
give
curveball coming, yeah.
No. Just a safe out. So, Teresa, would you like to make the motion tonight? Since your handwriting is better.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the application for case 18-013. On Lot 6, sublot 1, additional, with the condition that a plan for power be submitted by SBA to the town.
There you go, sir. Backup plan is moving forward.
Thank you.
Oh, so there is a 30-day window of appeal, but you can see from the huge crowd tonight. I'm happy to have myself so strong like this.
Well, continue, that is also.
Right. Well, I definitely know that I get mine off that tower.
Conflict of interest.
Get it on 6 towers.
Body is likely to be affected by that power.
It's
All right.
far away from that
This is
tower.
a tough one. All right, we'll go from the planning board tomorrow night, set plan review, and we'll go from
I'll
there.
see you then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, closing the public hearing on case 18013 SE. Staff, minutes, do we have anything else on the agenda?
I think this was a special meeting for this.
Yeah, this was it. This
Oh,
was a
okay.
continuance of,
We let him choose because he had ways to drive and the weather was
Oh, it was-
even worse last week than it is tonight.
Right. So you probably want these plans?
And he didn't have a full board. She's gonna keep hers, right?
Yes.
Can I bring up one topic?
Mm-hmm.
I gave Dawn the 2019 schedule application. She mentioned that the October date,
Oh, the schedule of meetings, you mean?
yeah, the October date, sorry, let me pull it out, I got them right here. October 15th is a day after Columbus Day. Does that matter to you guys?
No.
Okay. November 19th, what's the November holiday besides Thanksgiving?
Yeah, Veterans Day.
19th is my
Veterans Day.
birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's the day after Veterans Day. Is that gonna matter?
Not to
No.
me.
Veterans Day is that late?
the 19th is after Veterans?
Veterans Day is always the
That's my
11th.
birthday.
It's usually like the 11th.
Veterans Day, the
That's not
11th.
what she said. I
That'd be
didn't
awfully
verify
late.
because I just looked at it.
I don't think it's ever been.
No.
It's the
It's
third
always-
Tuesday.
It's always the
right?
11th,
Monday
it's always Monday,
before
yeah. It's
or
always the
after.
11th is always, it always comes on the,
The 11th, yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
11th is it.
All right, so I don't know what she was meaning for that one.
It's
All
not-
right,
And it's
so
too late for election stuff.
It's not the Thanksgiving week, is it? She might
No,
have been.
Thanksgiving is late next year,
No, we're
that
not
28th comes late next year.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's,
Yeah, then it comes back.
yep.
This was the earliest.
so it was just actually the October one. So you guys are okay with?
That's
those?
fine.
All right, so that's gonna be posted. So we're good for 2019. I'm the first one to get it in.
Yay.
It'll be on the website?
Yes, it will be on the website. Yes.
Oh, I did my budget with the autofill stuff, but that doesn't, I don't think that auto shares back to Chris, so I gotta figure out a way to get it back, save it and get it back to him.
He told me that he was gonna take care of it because he was part of the meeting.
Oh, okay,
But I just want to check in with him and make sure that,
yeah.
yeah, because we did go at.
We went
step
over
by
it,
step.
We went over it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In spite of that, we still finished at 8:13, 7:13.
Wow,
Because this hearing didn't happen,
right.
so it's quick.
Mr. Chairman, move we adjourn. If there's no further business.
I'll second that. All in favor? Aye. Thank you guys for coming out
I
tonight.
think there'd be more of a crowd.